Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sawagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m., Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kiza Besije every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are the Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi, welcome to The Political Dice.
It's
controversial,
purely political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Yes, State House oba ghetto.
Ani ayuga ku ground.
Ani gwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kiza Besije aleesa amaanyi.
Olwofadda bafutoli abateeseemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwojeema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. Olwo baba ate bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simanyanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Ye ali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamba ampanyiga mawe.
Ebe na birindira no ku The Political Dice ku The Alternative Dig Talk nange teditenja ewamune
Farida Bikobere
buli wa Sunday
sawa 2.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Good evening, Uganda. Welcome to Face the Nation. Today, we're going to be talking about all issues migration. What is happening in our migrant workers' lives as they continue to traverse various places in this world, trying to look for a better life for themselves. As we speak today, there are many Ugandans who are living in countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, in states like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and all other countries. We also have Ugandans who are living in the Asian continent. We're talking about Myanmar and countries around that area. Many of these young people left home trying to look for a better place. Some of them have continued to send remittances or money back to the country, and of course we get a lot as government and as Uganda from these particular people. But how best have we protected them? Have we protected their lives, or this is something that we should be thinking of as a country? This evening, I have Mr. Kayonde Abdallah. He is the founder and executive director for Migrant Workers' Voice, an initiative and platform that is advocating for the voices of the people who are living in diaspora today. Ladies and gentlemen, Abdallah Kayonde faces the nation. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Dear viewers, I'm grateful to be at the Alternative Dig Talk, and I want to assure you that this is the only alternative space we have in the country. Let's support it. You need to subscribe and follow all their programs, because they are really educating the nation. They reach where maybe the other mainstream media may not be touching, and that's why the voice is also here to also give in its occupy its space.
Exactly, this is your space, sir. We're going to start off on maybe what's happening in your organization. I saw a couple of events unfolding earlier this week and last week when we had some people being brought back home from Saudi Arabia and prisons there. But before we even delve into that conversation, how is it at Migrant Workers' Voice? How are you?
Yeah, at The Voice, we are doing all that we aspired to do. Not intending to finish it today or tomorrow, but to gradually insist, because achievements may not come as such fast, and what we want to appreciate that within the due process, we are acquiring, we are obtaining, we are trying to grow the muscle.
Yes, sir.
And being the voice that is started as a voice for the voiceless, and actually that is our slogan. We have managed to sensitize, continue doing our advocacy in form of agenda setting in matters regarding migration and labor. We have done the advocacy and representation, bargaining for those voiceless migrant workers and victims and survivors. You know, we have tried to continue doing that brought us in this space.
Okay.
And all we can promise is that by God's will, inshallah, we shall keep on doing that brought us amidst obstructions, amidst many resistance. People may not want to see such people exist, such a voice exist, but I want to assure you that the products of what we are doing are seen.
Okay.
You know, we have been sensitizing members since we started when the migrant workers were in a dark stage, behind a cave. They didn't know, most of them didn't know about their rights. They didn't know that they even have freedoms, such as freedoms to associate or to speak collectively and bargain, freedoms to negotiate, to come out and speak about the wrong, and actually you carry a responsibility of protection, and you don't be there to wish that somebody else is responsible for me, but even myself. So we feel happy that migrants have come out, they have registered associations, and right now as I talk, we have moved to one of our at least a 70% target, where we wanted to see a collective national voice. And we see a number of associations and communities galvanized to unite into an umbrella body. And as I talk, we have actually achieved at least a consensus to have a national Migrant Workers Federation.
Wow.
Yes,
Is that what
which
they call
is
the FUMWA?
FUMWA, the Federation of Uganda Migrant Workers Associations. But remember, 7 years back when we started as a voice, there wasn't such a thing, and you couldn't think about it because these migrant workers have been always a target. They have been taken to these countries, picked at random. Anyone could take advantage until we insisted, small as we were, we used all the little we could to ensure that we sensitize and live among them.
But what are some of the things that it has registered, if you are to say that since we started FUMWA, this and this and this have been registered in line with the workers themselves?
Yeah, FUMWA has moved, at least it's not for long, it has just formed about a month back.
Oh, a month.
Yes, but for us we are happy because when it formed, even the regulators gave it an audience.
Yes.
That is good because it isn't easy, and not all formations that are given such a hearing. And I think there is light in a tunnel we see when the existence of such a national body happens. It means even government is realizing where a consensus must be. When it comes to issues of our own who are suffering, that non-stop complaint, you know, the complaints online and then on ground here.
Yes, sir.
When you look at the returnee challenges, our own that have worked there and they come back here, they find issues. Sincerely, most of them have been left without any support. So when the Federation comes out and it is able to convince the regulators to actually give it the space it ought to, because the regulators are supposed actually they were supposed to have adopted it by yesterday, but because of the nature of the capital regime,
yes,
that those with capital and interest and business mind were suppressing such a social move, a social entity to exist.
okay,
We can understand it, but of course it's not without our advocacy. We have also been calling for it as a voice for the voiceless, to see that these nationals who are suffering can carry this responsibility themselves before we blame any other.
okay,
And also to balance the boat, to see that if the blames come, we can know who has done what, who has contributed to what.
It feels like the stakeholders do not like to receive the blame themselves. Sometimes we have put it on the victims. Sometimes we say they left illegally. We try to look for issues and put it on these people. Do we need to be checked as the stakeholders? Yes,
it is true. Always government, this government left the economic policy of a semblance of socialism, or a semblance of
it's a hybrid.
Now it
has a bit of socialism.
Yes, but it had moved away completely from the social element, and when it privatized everything by the conditions given by the World Bank. So government picked that feeling that it shouldn't be responsible for actually some of the welfare issues. Yes, until of recent, that government is realizing that even the capital states must have a welfare regime, or kind of a welfare, or embrace a welfare capitalism, where such entities must exist and be regulated to exist. For instance, when you talk of the coffee issue, the UCDA issues, it's the same notion, even among workers and the labor migration, that when government is trying to run away from responsibility, it ends up now appearing to be at work on the conditions given by the World Bank and IMF to scrap such entities that may be promoting like a business that can actually enable many, can bring equality. In other words, coffee alone, I'm sorry to divert into the coffee issue, I'm just giving an example. Coffee is #1 bullet a bullet that can shoot down poverty within a day. Yes, it can lift a poor man, a peasant, from being a peasant to a prince.
One believes that.
Yeah,
PDM will do that, not your coffee. Mr. Museveni was saying coffee is a small issue.
Can.
I don't know why everybody is on coffee.
Coffee can do that. And once such business element appears, government can get skeptical.
What, the government wants Ugandans to stay in poverty? Is that
no, a poor man is not well tamed, well behaved. Once he gets money, he can sponsor anything, he can do anything. Equally to we, the migrant workers.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, when we go out there, we are prone to get different sources of funds, and it's also a second bullet to poverty.
Yes, sir.
One can live here in Uganda for years, but the moment he steps out, he shoots a deal, whether dealing in marijuana or dealing in what.
As long as it's a deal.
Yes, they can shoot and get money through migration.
Exactly.
That's why the traffickers are embedded, all illicit behaviors are there.
Okay.
But now government picks interest in such areas. I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yes.
That until government now realizes, there is a potential of a person who is informal, or somebody whom you can oversight, and then turning into a rich person into, it is a threat, it is a security threat. So migrant workers have to understand it, and even when we are pushing for our space.
I was thinking that the government should be behind such migrations, because these people are contributing a lot to our GDP. I was calculating the remittances that they send to their loved ones when they are here. They're billions and billions of dollars, sir. So that's a lot of money.
It is true, just like a coffee. Coffee brings billions of dollars. Actually, labor migration had superseded coffee some years back. And I'm sure even now it is better, it is contributing better than coffee.
The remittances are like 5.
Yes, so it's like a threat. It can be a threat, like I've told you.
Yes,
A layperson may not understand that threat, but it can be a threat in economy, in capital regimes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's where now government comes in to play a role of regulating. They regulate. The purpose of regulation is to balance, to see that, okay, you may be oppressed by the rich who are accumulating profits over you. So when we bring a regulation, we somehow push the rich and control the rich from oppressing you. But on the other hand, we also stop you from somewhere because maybe you're not capable or you're not supposed to skip a certain line to acquire a certain level of richness or stability. But now, that as it is, you realize that when government is balancing as such, now they remove the authority, you see the A, and the coffee growers and the sellers begin to complain. Because what was promoting or empowering their voice, what was actually promoting their business was being pushed away or wiped away. So they remain without. And the alternative now...
It's government.
No, the alternative cannot be government to manage the social issues alone. What government has to do, I think you heard of it, that the cooperatives that were removed some time back...
In 2000, yes.
Yes, can be an alternative for now. Yes, they might be revamped. Yeah, you watch the space.
Okay.
Like in Masaka, you've had the people have started now registering those small cooperatives.
Yes.
It is the only way you can galvanize these voices of the poor people who are subject to inequality. And then when they get together, now they begin promoting their interests. But there is an end where they are also limited. For instance, if the presidency intention is to control the raw export of coffee beans and equally to labor export, then there will be limitations. That is to speak to the political will, you know. Limitations in terms of when you are going to like, if you've been selling your coffee quickly with the beans, you can get dollars very fast, but maybe it may be underpaid. But for him, he's creating another section where you must process, make it a different class, and then sell it
at a higher price.
He is very right. But now, that alone may not favor the majority, because not all can afford to have those machineries
to improve the coffee,
and process it. So now, how can the common majority, the commons, individuals, get to grow muscle and collectively bargain within the coffee area to actually also fit into the other side?
Bring it home to the trafficking and migration, really. How does it directly, what do we learn from the coffee that is in, what is happening in the coffee that is in the migration sector itself? Yeah,
I was concluding it the other side, that the coffee growers now have got to unite into associations, cooperatives and federations to actually bargain within, then also improve on capacity. The capacity by acquiring their own machines within their circles, and then they are able now to produce in a group. So the same thing comes to migration. When it comes to migration, the recruiters want us when we are in silos, when we are divided. And in that space, trafficking grows, smuggling grows, alongside regulation. So this is why you found Minister of Gender now looking like, you know, we have regulated and regulated, but the guys are trafficking. We have regulated and regulated, but all the people we regulate and clear to go their side, they are suffering. Because there is a lot of individualism.
Okay. So this
at play.
Okay.
Right now, the coffee thing is in individualism because the individuals were selling and they had a direct entity that was assisting them to market and sell the other side.
Exactly.
So they had a direct chain. Just like a Ugandan who wants to go to Canada can easily get an agent here and go until government comes in to regulate. When government regulates, now controls come. There are checks. Right? And these checks sometimes, okay, they may look to be oppressing some, but they are meant to balance, you know? And even the citizenry has got to be sensitized. Like I'm talking right now. I'm bringing out something that even the coffee growers have to know. Even the migrant workers have to know. You cannot get justice when you are single, when you are alone.
Yeah, you can only
especially
go
in the
when
field
you
of
are alone,
yes.
You can go further with a group.
Correct. Especially in this field of labor. We need to collectively bargain.
Okay.
Because in a capital regime, the individuals who are few would always want to maximize profits on us.
Exactly.
So if we want to get there, it shouldn't be just a single voice like a migrant worker's voice always talking for you. No. We need more other voices, and eventually you unite and speak and negotiate,
and
make a collective bargain. Yes. So we are giving a justification for FUMA.
Okay.
You cannot get, you cannot, for instance, government cannot understand you when you're in silos. They cannot understand you when you speak with uncoordinated voices. This one speaks, the other one speaks. You know? And the same thing is coming to coffee growers who may now end up forming smaller circles, smaller associations, and they now end in those smaller factions.
Okay.
But I want to implore them that it may not go back now until 10 or 5 years to come, that you may maybe change these policies that have been brought in right now. So what you can do is to organize yourselves into groups
okay.
and mega groups and umbrella bodies. Then you'll be able to cross, to sit on table and dialogue.
And also formalize them, because some of these entities are there, but they actually have not been formalized.
Correct.
For those who are just joining us, you are watching Face the Nation right here on the Alternative Dig Talk. My name is Edgar Matthew Karahanga. I'm still with the president of the Migrant Workers Voice, an initiative that is championing the voices of the migrant workers in the diaspora and various parts of the world. Thank you so much for tuning in. Mr. Kayonde,
Yes, sir.
your organization has been seen to really mainly focus on migration or migrants who are living in the Middle East. I'm talking about things like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and that particular region. And yet, there is an increasing threat of trafficking, especially in countries in Asia, countries like Thailand, countries like Myanmar, and that particular axis. What do you have to say about this issue? They say you've given the migrants in Middle East more emphasis and more voice. Why are you doing this?
People view it that way, but we are also considering and dealing with migrants from other walks of life and different regions of the world. Only that the Middle East people are a special case, a vulnerable community. That any country, any responsible country would pay attention first. Even when you go to the EU, I was in the Netherlands, in The Hague, in the Africa Migration Conference. And I saw we were discussing EU, Africa migration, but still the discussions now ended talking about the Middle East people, the Middle East migrations, you know, Africa, Middle East migrations.
Yes, sir.
So it's a fragile area. Why? You ask me why. One, the governments in that part of the world is they are autocratic in nature. They may not have yet embraced what you may call democracies or other forms of governance. So they are very staunch, and their laws are they say stringent, and the nature of Sharia law, the Quran, which is almost a religious law, you know, it is very difficult actually for people to have the freedoms we talk about in the liberal communities or in the liberal societies. It's very difficult to think that people who are living in such under tensions like a kafara system can be left and never attended to as it is in Canada
Yes.
or any other part of the world. People go to Canada, but nobody bothers. It doesn't mean that there are no people who sleep on streets in Canada.
Yes, sir.
People go to US. They are there, but why they don't outcry as those in the square in UAE or Saudi? Why?
The system advantages them when they're in the US or Canada.
Exactly. Even when they sleep on the street, they will find a way to survive. And nobody may force them or push them like that. Now, for instance, you see the deportations going on from Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
It sounds good that our own were released from jails and deportations. But for us, the human rights advocates, we don't really.
I thought you'd be happy.
No, okay, we are the propellers, we are the initiators, we are the agitators for it to happen.
Yes, sir.
But why we do not buy into it 100% is that it's actually wrong to divert people who entered your country through your mandate, through your recommendation and clearances under civil arrangements, and then when their civil arrangements are unattended to or disputes are unattended to, the civil nature of disputes turn into criminal, and you deport them.
Are you trying
really
to say that these issues were civil matters that were turned
yes,
around?
they are all civil matters. The migrants
People
who
were having capital offences of drug trafficking, capital offences of
no, the deportees I'm talking about,
yes.
like the drug trafficking, are not deported.
They are also part of that.
They are
that
part,
list,
but they are not deported. I'm talking of the deportees, the rampant
okay.
deportees.
Oh, you're talking about
the rampant
deportation.
deportees are all emanating from they emanate from the civil arrangements.
Okay, yeah, I
These
get you.
workers enter Saudi Arabia, for instance, with civil contracts, labor contracts, civil in nature. It's
Exactly.
about disputes, which disputes have got no redress.
Yes.
And once they are messed up, they end up being seen as criminality. And that's where they end most of our own into jails and prisons for such reasons that is unclear, and it actually disturbs us. If it continues that way, you can't keep deporting labor migrants. Really, you need to give them an avenue for a fair hearing.
How do you commend the government, especially in line of fighting for the people, especially those ones who, for example, the prisoners who had been in prison? 117 of them were sent back. I get that we still have 1,000 more in those particular prisons. First, commend the government on that particular issue. What can we talk about when it comes to that issue in line of government?
Yeah, since you are triggering me to really commend, and I will say,
let's first commend,
yes,
before we do anything.
I will say send a credit to the minister in charge, the state minister, Honorable Esther Nyakun,
Yes.
Davinia, as she has really played a good position, a good role.
Yes, sir.
In fronting this, in rolling the ball. We have seen the senior ministers and all the ministers that have been in labor before have not done that.
Okay.
So she went and tried to, out of the blue, to say, please forgive our people. I think she's a good diplomat.
I can also
though maybe
commend
she
her.
may not be a professional career diplomat, but she did what diplomacy speaks.
Exactly.
You wonder how the embassy officials who lived in Saudi, the ambassadors and all those, what they were doing before this minister went in to say, this is what we are seeking for. She played a good role. But alternatively, she had no option only to do that because of the autocratic nature of the governments that are hosting our own. But ideally, it should be that Saudi, as a hosting state, is supposed to, like you see, when amnesties are given in the UAE here, for them, okay, theirs is a bit relaxed. They are trying to observe the international law. When they give their amnesties, they keep, like, they give a freedom, they give a space, and they say, please come out whether you are undocumented, please correct your status, when you are irregular, please come. You have this window to either get a visa and stay.
Okay,
you know, that means they are considerate
Exactly.
of the conditions to which they may deport into these people. You know, these are economic migrants who leave home without any source of income.
Exactly.
And by the time they return, they are really in very devastating situations. We are worried as a voice. As I was coming here, I was called by one of our partners who is a traffic, a taxi driver at airport, that I have received another girl who is mentally, you know, she has also been deported, but she's not in good shape. She's not talking, and I'm trying to drive her, trying to connect to see how to get the relatives. So they come back in very devastating situation. She's deported, she has no single coin. Even the sending states have got no alternative in terms of welfare, soft landing. There is no social security, there is no what. So these are the things we really feel that even those deporting states like Saudi Arabia should consider if indeed there is a good relationship. You have an agreement with Uganda. You don't need to just deal with its nationals like as if you've never sat down to agree on anything. Even it's high time for us as a country, you know, to think about negotiating better deals during the bilateral.
Okay, and that brings me, because we're coming to the end of the conversation, that brings me to the issue of the remaining 1,000 and more people incarcerated in, and you had started on hinting on it.
Yes.
How best can we deal with this issue so that it's done and dusted, and we no longer have Ugandans who are, you know, in various prisons and suffering from diaspora? There is nothing as difficult. I'm imagining like being incarcerated in a foreign country. I think it's something that is wrong. How do we address the remaining people? Well,
there are many avenues government can embrace. And we want to thank them, first of all, for the initiative they took and they mobilized. We tried to give in our members for, on the lists to be piloted for return.
Yes.
But now, one, there cannot be justice without social order. And I've been repeatedly saying this. Justice emanates or arises from social order.
Yes.
There must be a semblance of social and responsibility, commitment, social contract, you know, for people to feel a sense of belonging, responsibility, ownership, accountable, ownership and all that.
Exactly.
So it arises from social order. So if we want to see the justice for our own in Saudi Arabia, first and foremost, we have to consider the social order element. That what is the order, the governance of those who are living? Is it about clearing them to go through recruitment agencies and then we say for us we are done? That has been the norm. It's high time we started now recognizing their leadership and embracing, empowering their governance. When they live in a governed manner, maybe they will protect their own what? Their own ambitions.
Exactly.
But they can't protect the ambitions which are just imparted or just forced on them.
Exactly.
You see, that's where they keep relying on to asking for help instead of actually sometimes supporting themselves, and yet they have that capacity. For instance, when I'm in Saudi or I'm in any other country and I get a challenge as a migrant worker, I have a right, for as long as I am documented, to walk into police, courts of law and seek the same justice like any other national. You see what it is here in Uganda. The refugees, the other migrant categories, they're using our authorities, they're using everything.
They're really equal. You
correct.
want to say they're even treated better. And they also know that.
So this is what we want to empower among the workers, that it will reduce onto these numbers of deportation. Once we realize our capacity, our potentials as migrants, we are going to support government. Actually, our existence as a federation, we are not to come and duplicate or duplicate the works of the ministry. Rather, we are here to supplement onto what government can do and other stakeholders in line, including foreign affairs and other ministries responsible the internal affairs. So what are we saying? That point number one, let government be willing to recognize, empower and work with the leadership of migrant workers. In this category, the Ugandan migrant workers, and stop mixing them, the Ugandan migrant workers, and more so the category of short-term, the short-term economic migrants. These are people who go and they will return. They work for 2 years, 3 years, they return home. These people should be paid for attention. Why? They are not like immigrants who go and have they seek asylum. Coming back home is not their wish.
Exactly.
They are more in Canada, more in US, in London, but not in Saudi Arabia. So government needs to tailor a program that really suits those short-term economic heroes who leave this country under the push of underpay.
And they bring back money here.
Yes, they leave Uganda because there is no minimum wage, there is no better pay. Under the tag of cheap labor.
You want to chase the investors.
What are you talking about?
That's what Mr. President said.
We are not.
I cannot sign that
we are not chasing away the
investors
investors, but we are saying, please. The fact is, if you have a big nose, it is a big nose. We must tell you your nose is big.
I'm not abusing you.
Yes, I'm not abusing you. Don't start saying, why are you saying I have a big nose? Your nose is big. Uganda is embracing industrialization because I mean, under the guise of cheap labor tag. There's no way we can attract investors here without cheap labor. We understood that. And that's why the Ugandans who understood that, they just pack up their things and they say, let me go temporarily to Middle East and work. Don't we remain Ugandans? Do we repatriate our money or remit our money to Rwanda?
No.
Or it goes to Burundi?
No, it
comes to Uganda. So Uganda must care about us.
All right.
Developing a soft learning like a welfare programs, which includes the welfare fund, bringing insurance. These are going to give
they sound too good to be true.
Of course, yeah. They are possible, but they are possible only that the capitalists will not allow them pass when they do not have a share.
Abdallah, I'll come back. I'll invite you back for that particular conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. But give us your last shots as we conclude.
Yes, I want to finish by calling on government to quickly revise the regulations in place so that our proposals are adopted. And also in the new regulations, please ensure that the migrant workers this time are also regulated and they have a stake. Okay. Also, in the new bilateral, or when you are revising the bilaterals, please, and the new bilaterals, consider elements of extradition treaties, you know, discuss issues of how to repatriate, how to handle issues that you are handling now through just an amnesty.
Exactly.
It should have already appeared in the bilateral that in such and such incidents,
this is what happened.
This is how we shall handle.
Exactly.
So bilaterals should start speaking to these scenarios before they catch us offside.
Okay.
And I want to thank government this time that they are trying. And I hope by also embracing the Global Compact for Migration, we shall be able to cross all whatever that we started and get there, inshallah.
Thank you so much, inshallah. Abdallah Kayonde is his name, and of course, he is the president of the Migrant Workers' Voice, an organization that is amplifying the voices of our people, especially migrants and people who are working in the diaspora. As we speak right now, Uganda is being led by South Africa by 1-0, and of course, I think it's the 80th minute. Let's continue to have our fingers crossed. The good thing that we're already in Morocco. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. I'll see you again next Friday at exactly 5 p.m. We're always here, and it's always Face the Nation. Arnold is the gentleman in production, and of course, Mr. Alibawa Ali is always on camera. From the entire team, God bless you. We shall see you again very, very soon. Good evening.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.